The $100 billion pivot. SoftBank just moved $100 billion from the Vision Fund's diversified ledger into a single silicon project called Izanagi. This isn't another venture play where Masa picks a winner. It is a full-scale conversion of a holding company into a hardware manufacturer. By liquidating the remaining Nvidia stake to fund a proprietary AI chip, SoftBank is bet hedging against the very market leaders it used to bankroll. The balance sheet now looks less like a VC firm and more like a high-leverage semiconductor startup. This capital shift creates a massive concentration risk that the market is currently ignoring in favor of the AI infrastructure narrative. This structural change starts with the move into physical production facilities. The French Fab Gamble. Recent reports from May 2026 confirm SoftBank is in deep discussions to anchor its Izanagi manufacturing in France, chasing nuclear power and state subsidies. Building fabs is a brutal, capital-intensive business that sits at odds with SoftBank's historical preference for asset-light software. While the narrative focuses on sovereign AI, the P&L tells a story of mounting OpEx and a desperate search for energy stability to power future data centers. Son is trying to vertically integrate the entire stack from the transistor to the power grid, but he is doing so while carrying $40 billion in bridge loans. This is a transition from picking winners to attempting to build the winner from the ground up. This pivot relies entirely on the internal engineering at ARM. As a captive designer, Masa is finally weaponizing his 90% stake in ARM by turning the architecture licensor into a captive design house for Izanagi. This move breaks the fundamental neutrality that made ARM a global standard. By prioritizing internal AI silicon, SoftBank is now competing directly with its own best customers, like Amazon and Microsoft. The latest earnings show a record-high market cap for ARM, but that valuation is propped up by the assumption that Izanagi can find a market. If the major cloud providers see SoftBank as a rival rather than a partner, the licensing revenue that anchors the stock could quickly plateau. This tension is hidden behind the hype of the Izanagi silicon tape-out, the software Moat problem. Rivaling Nvidia requires more than just high-performance silicon. It requires a software ecosystem that doesn't exist at SoftBank. Nvidia spent 15 years building the CUDA software Moat, while Izanagi is still in the prototype phase as of May 2026. Hardware specs look great in a technical brief, but without a developer-friendly compiler and library support, Izanagi risks becoming expensive shelfware. SoftBank is spending tens of billions on the atoms, but they are behind on the bits. If the hyperscalers don't port their workloads to this new architecture, Masa is left holding the most expensive silicon paperweight in history. This reality dictates the true terminal value of the Izanagi project. The real implication. SoftBank is no longer an investment firm. It has become a leveraged bet on a single vertical AI architecture that bridges ARM design and French energy. By folding the Vision Fund era into the Izanagi infrastructure play, Masa Son has traded the safety of a diversified portfolio for the high-margin, high-risk potential of a semiconductor powerhouse. The record net profit of 5 trillion yen reported this month is largely driven by unrealized gains in OpenAI and ARM, which means the company's liquidity is now an hostage to the volatile AI hardware cycle. For operators and investors, the key metric is no longer the number of startups in the portfolio, but the yield rates of the first Izanagi production runs at the 2-nanometer node. If those chips don't outperform the merchant silicon from Nvidia and AMD by a wide margin, SoftBank's debt-to-equity ratio becomes an existential problem. Watch the TSMC delivery schedules and the uptake of the new ARM compute subsystems in Q4. Subscribe for more.